Yo, what's up guys, C-Jax back with another video, and today I'm going to basically be talking about why I think Smackdown is about to die, okay? Now, it is around 3 a.m. when I'm recording this, but you guys know the grind don't stop, okay? Your boy C-Jax is locked in, I got the libations in my back pocket, and we're gonna be ready to go. Now, there's gonna be multiple different reasons why I discuss why I think SmackDown is basically about to die, but the main reason, right, well actually I'm gonna save it for a little bit, but I'm gonna talk about one reason that needs to be talked about effective immediately. Number one, Raw is about to get super stacked on Netflix. When we get the January 6th, Netflix premiere of Raw, all that stuff, they are going to have all of your top draws. Roman Reigns, The Rock, Cena, Punk, Rollins. That's pretty much it. Everyone else is pretty much ancillary factors. They may be stars and, aid in big moments, but other than that, those are your top draws. The fact that those people are going to all be on one show basically takes away all of the enjoyment, and it takes away the element of star power from SmackDown. When you have literally no main characters on SmackDown, besides, I guess, if you want to call Cody Rhodes the main character, even though we all know that his championship reign feels ancillary, right? It doesn't really matter. When the Bloodline story, the OG Bloodline reuniting and then fighting the new Bloodline, when that became a story narrative that was leading into War Games, nobody cared about Cody's title reign. And we know nobody cared about Cody's title reign because look at what happened at Survivor Series. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship got pushed back to a C or a D tier PLE like Saturday Night Main Event. Survivor Series is one of the 4 biggest PLEs of the year. In this show, Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion, couldn't even get on the show. So that means that the feud was not that good to even make it on the show. So nothing's really happening with him. He, at this point, is just boring. The only thing he really has is the belt, which is eventually going to end up in the hands of either Cena, Roman, Rock, or Randy Orton. It's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? So that belt doesn't matter. But the point is this. If you don't have any stars on your show, nothing is going to give a reason to the main audience, the mainstream audience, to watch these shows. SmackDown has what? They have Cody Rhodes, you know what I'm saying? They have Kevin Owens. Chad Gable was on the show. Even I saw Dominic Mysterio was in one of the backstage segments, like talking to Nick Aldis in the background behind like Bianca and Naomi. Like, dude, that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? You have to balance the star power. And if it's not going to be balanced, then who cares? Literally, who cares? It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? So SmackDown is going to be absolutely void of stars. And what this is going to do is, like I said, no one in the mainstream is going to care about SmackDown anymore. Another problem that they're going to have is with all these superstars going to Raw and you not having them on SmackDown, this basically means as well, I heard a rumor about this. I don't know if this is 100% true, but the rumors are is that Raw is going to go back to 3 hours and SmackDown is going to become 3 hours. If this happens, the show is over. It's over. Let's say, for example, right, because Gunther was also backstage, and it seems like Gunther is going to be headed to Friday Night SmackDown in early 2025. If you are actually telling people in the mainstream audience that you need to sit down every Friday for 3 hours and watch a show where there is no Roman Reigns, there's no Bloodline, there's no Rock, there's no Cena, maybe Cena shows up a couple times on SmackDown next year, there's no CM Punk, and there's no Seth Rollins, and you want them to sit down through 3 hours of that with Gunther as the main star on that show? Are you serious? This show is going to die. If that is the actual, indication of what's about to happen, it's over. It just is. Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight, I love them. They're amazing. Amazing. Good in the ring, good on the mic, charismatic, got a lot of talent. But the point is that if those two are like your second and third best stars on your show, you're not cooking with anything. I'm sorry. LA Knight is awesome. And quite frankly, he's world champion material. But you cannot sit here and tell me that Gunther is going to be my world champion and the main star of my show going forward on SmackDown. If that's the case and you're telling people to sit down for 3 hours a week to watch that, no one's watching that. That show is going to be a dead product. The only way to fix this going forward is going to be bringing up people from NXT maybe, or possibly even balancing out the talent. I'm talking about Drew McIntyre in the trade portal, right, that they're doing. Drew McIntyre maybe goes to SmackDown. Cody Rhodes goes on both Raw and SmackDown. Roman Reigns occasionally stays on SmackDown maybe twice a month. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. They have to balance this. John Cena appearing on SmackDown, every now and then, every other week. They have to somehow balance this. Because if this is the way it looks, this is not going to work. And the NXT talent needs to enter the main roster. I'm done with all this. Oh, you gotta pay your dues. You gotta wait 2 or 3 years. You gotta develop it. No, I'm done with that. Javon Evans is a generational talent in the ring. He is a generational talent in the ring, and with the insane stuff he can do, to the likes of Jeff Hardy, but arguably even more athletic than Jeff. He is more athletic than Jeff Hardy, 100%. Javon Evans is absolutely phenomenal. He needs to come to the main roster. Braun Braun Breaker could go do an open challenge for the Intercontinental Championship on the Raw Netflix premiere. Hey, anyone in the back, come, the dogs are barking here in LA. Come out here and fight me. Javon Evans' music hits. Not everyone knows Javon Evans, but they see him in that match. Javon Evans and Braun Breaker would put on one of the greatest matches of the year. Everybody who knows Javon Evans and knows Braun Breaker knows that's exactly what would happen. In the women's division is absolute crap right now. Look at these tournament, brackets for the Intercontinental Championship. Look at the tournament brackets for the United States Women's Championship. It's a bunch of undercard and midcard jobbers. Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and occasionally Tiffany Stratton are the only ones who showcase consistent talent, in the ring or even backstage or whatever. It's that simple, right? It's the facts. Sol Ruca, phenomenal in the ring. Jada Parker, good promo worker, and she's good in the ring. And there's probably Roxanne Perez even at this point. I honestly called her a jobber before, but to actually sit here and believe the fact that she's worse than like Lara Valkyria or Zelina Vega or any of these other jobbers is absurd. She would at least be better than them, let's be honest with ourselves. Those three people immediately, along with Javon Evans obviously, so that's four people, just bringing them up to the main roster alone could help. Obafemi, you could bring up Obafemi and have him be like a mid-carder in the U.S. Championship division or the IC belt division. Just like that, you've bolstered your mid-card and added more true talent to these shows. You want this stuff on Netflix? Then you need to make sure that the product is Netflix worthy. There should be insanity, and crazy athleticism like Javon Evans, crazy physicality like Obafemi, crazy athleticism with Sol Ruca, good promo work with Jada Parker. They need stuff like this to actually develop and expand their company and expand their brand. And I'm about to throw an absolute truth bomb, a mega bomb, you know what I'm saying? Everybody get down, because your boy C-Jax is throwing truth bombs, you dig? The fact is I am done being, just a standby viewer of this absolute and utter garbage that's shown to us every single week. The reality is that Cody Rhodes is nothing more than a mid-carder in terms of his talent. Everybody knows it. He's a forced main eventer, and everybody with a keen eye who's been watching wrestling for more than like 2 years knows that Cody Rhodes is a forced main eventer. There is nothing about him that actually makes you sit back and go like, wow, this dude's a massive main eventer. Wow, this dude's an amazing promo worker. Wow, this dude's a phenomenal wrestler. Like, no, he's not. He just isn't. And I don't want to sound like a massive gatekeeper or anything like that. That's not the point that I'm trying to get across, right? Like, I'm not someone who's been watching for like 30 or 40 years or any of that other stuff. But, I'm not even 20 years old. But you get the point. I have watched wrestling for like 15, the 15 to 20 years of wrestling that I have consumed. And obviously anybody with a phone or any device technology can go on the internet and you can go look at things from the Attitude Era, the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s, the stuff when you weren't alive or even when you just weren't watching wrestling. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that I've done. I've done that pretty much for a while now at this point, right? Everyone's seen all the stuff in the 2000s, the Attitude Era, all the big moments, the big returns, the big pops, everything. All of the megastars and these superstars that carried these great generations and eras of wrestling. Your Cenas, your Rocks, your Austins, your Takers, your Michaels, your Batistas, your Brock Lesnars, Orton, Roman Reigns, etc. Rollins is great too. He's not on the level like Roman and Cena and all these other people I just named, but you get the point. Rollins is still great. He's just an example. All of these people had amazing character, amazing gimmicks, amazing stories, and amazing in-ring work, and had that freakish, some of them were freakish athletes, and they had the ability to get over with the mainstream audience and be absolute mega stars. We don't have that anymore, outside of a couple people. That is the point I'm trying to get across. And if you want to go on Netflix, which is a worldwide thing that billions of people have access to across the world, you need to be putting the best possible talent out there. I am tired of seeing the same promo and the same stuff every single week. Every single week. Do you want to be on Netflix and actually entertain billions of people? Do you want to have a chance to get back to those numbers when you are pulling 8 million viewers every week and rivaling a weekly Monday Night Football with viewership? Do you want to get back to that? Your best bet to do that is putting the best talent you have forward or building new superstars. I know that's hard for Triple H to do because he isn't that good of a booker. He doesn't know how to really build superstars or find superstars like Vince McMahon did. But you got to figure something out, bro, because this is unacceptable. I want wrestling to be great again. That's the reason I make these videos. That's the reason why, I watch this stuff week to week, is because I like wrestling. I like WWE overall. Recently, like I've been saying, it's absolutely been horrendous, right? But I still like the merit of wrestling. It's a great storytelling medium. It's a great entertainment medium. We cannot let this thing fall below and fall off the ship because we have bad wrestlers and bad entertainers and bad performers. We need to fix this, and it's 100% fixable. It 100% is. So figure it out, man. Because this is just unacceptable, man. I love wrestling, bro. I can't let this stuff. I'm not just gonna sit by and just accept these bad promos and bad content. What do you think this is? I'm not a Triple H bot talking about some Papa Hunter cook. Let Papa H cook. Nah, I'm good. The cooking is awful, and the house is about to burn down because of how bad the cooking is. So I'm good, bruh. It's the same thing with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan are massively overrated. Jada Parker, another truth bomb. Jada Parker in totality as a wrestler is better than Liv Morgan at Rhea Ripley at nearly every single thing it takes to be a good professional wrestler. She is athletic in the ring. She's definitely better in the ring than Liv Morgan, that's for sure. She wrestles more consistently. She also is younger than both of them, so she has a higher ceiling. Rhea Ripley, everyone acts like she's some generational megastar. The fact is, Rhea Ripley didn't have anything figured out until last year. Before last year, Rhea Ripley was just an average mid-carder in the women's division. Nothing made her special. You know what I'm saying? So these things take time to cook when you're building stars. Rhea Ripley, I don't care how many fans Rhea Ripley has. I don't care how many fans Liv Morgan has. The simple fact is as far as I'm concerned, I'm watching the segments week to week. I'm seeing what Rhea and Liv and Cody and all these other jobbers are doing, and it's not acceptable. So if they're not working, then bring in different talent that'll make it work. Or just ride on the main event superstars, the megastars in the company, like your Cenas, Romans, Rocks, Punks, etc. That's the only options you have. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be on Netflix, like I said, you have to have Netflix level quality. Do you want to get back to the Attitude Era days or the days in general where you had massive, over 3 to 4, 5 million people watching every week? Then you need to do things like this. I don't care if you start off and you may get 1 million views the first week, but eventually the talent, if it's really there, will prevail with the right people. And that's just why you see people like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley have absolutely plateaued. They cut the same promos every week. They don't wrestle really at all on Raw, and they wrestle occasionally at PLEs, and the matches aren't even that good or memorable. It's the same thing with Cody Rhodes. He barely cuts. He's never really doing good promos if you look at it. In the last 2.5 years, he never really has cut any good promos. I'm done with the mediocrity. It's unacceptable at this point, right? And just to clarify, obviously Cody has cut some good promos in the last 2.5 years since he's come back to the company, okay? He hasn't cut 0 good promos, but you get the point. He rarely ever cuts good or engaging promos. He does it like a couple times a year at best, and he's on every single show every week. So now it's time to bring in people who will at least have a chance to do something new. Braun Breaker, give him the WWE Championship or the World Championship within the next year or two, and just see what happens. Try it out. I'm sick of these long behind title reigns. You only give long reigns to people who actually deserve it. Roman Reigns deserved it because he's a megastar. He's a generational talent. Cody Rhodes doesn't deserve a year-long title reign. Are you out of your mind? What has he done to deserve that? Cut bad promos every week and barely wrestle on TV, and his reward is a 1.5-year title reign probably? Come on, man. Get real. And quick side note again, how are wrestlers supposed to build prestige if they're stuck in the mid-card winning the same IC or US title belt over and over and over again? At some point, they have to win world championship material. I don't care if it switches every other month or every 2 months, but everyone has to get a time to shine. You can't, tell people about freaking prestige and how great a champion is if they're not winning anything important. They are going to just legitimately, every upper mid-carder or like borderline world championship, guy or main eventer, like, Drew McIntyre or something like that, what I'm saying, like LA Knight, who's a world champion, chip talent level, those dudes need to go to Smackdown and stay there. Because if not, you're going to be stuck with Gunther and Carmelo Hayes Part 15, Game 65,000 every single week on SmackDown. It's not going to work long term. The talent isn't there. And it's the same thing for the women's division. We have to talk about this too. This is the second main point. There are no good stories, I should say, on SmackDown or Raw in general. But the fact that the SmackDown story, they do have the bloodline when they're there, and that's being stripped away from them now, it's over. What are the important storylines or good storylines on SmackDown? The women's division is absolutely void of talent right now on the main roster. It just is. You have Bianca, you have Io, and that's it. Charlotte and Becky Lynch, when they come back, they're going to be in there too. They're going to be good talents. But no one else is really doing anything. Rhea Ripley in the Liv Morgan storyline is absolutely dead. Nobody cares about Rhea. I'm going to take back my title that I never lost, yeah? Like, it's boring. We're done with that. Then you also have Nia Jax's championship reign has been a complete and utter failure. The women's mid-card championships are being treated like ancillary championships because that's exactly what they are. If the world championship and the WWE women's champion, Nia Jax, both lost at Survivor Series War Games to people without the titles, then why in the world does it matter that there's an IC belt and a women's US belt? Neither of those belts are going to have any prestige. I mean, look at these brackets. You're going to have Dakota Kai, Raquel Rodriguez, Ivy Nile, Zelina Vega, all these different undercard jobbers, and then Elektra Lopez was in a triple threat for the, the US Women's Championship tournament. These are all jobbers. These are not people who are going to get you, get butts and seats. No one's going to be sitting down and watching Smackdown every Friday night for 3 hours, which is just absurd doing that on a Friday night. But no one's going to be doing that for Alexa Lopez. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to be doing that for Kevin Owens. It's just not acceptable. So they need to figure something out with the storylines. The Bloodline is the only storyline that really draws in professional wrestling at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we've seen the metrics. 70 plus million views for Punk, joining the OG Bloodline. Over 100, the the Instagram reel with Punk and Roman in the cage at War Games, actually, I think is one of the most, highest viewed Instagram reels of 2024. So that lets you know everything you need to know. Roman Reigns, Rock, Cena, Punk, those are your mainstream stars. It's really that simple. So wherever they go, that's where the majority of your views are going to go. Rhea Ripley is not a big enough draw to be on a show by herself and generate mass amounts of viewership. It's not enough. You know what I'm saying? If she returns, yeah, you're going to get views. But overall, it's not going to work. And everybody knows it. So at this point, the next step, correctly for SmackDown is to either balance out the talent or have people cameoing on different shows. John Cena may have to cameo more on SmackDown. The Rock may have to cameo more. But the thing is that The Rock and Cena are not going to be doing this stuff full time. Cena only has, I think, 30 to 35 dates in total next year, and that's including PLEs. So this dude may be on Raw or SmackDown for 6 months worth of the year legitimately. So he's not going to be there every single week. So, you have to factor these things in and realize where it's going. Another thing that needs to be discussed, the draft and the brand split mean absolutely nothing. The reason why is because, the talent roster, the roster of talent is not good. It just isn't. That is really the bottom line with all of this. SmackDown obviously has no main event stars after Raw, gets all these stars, for Netflix and, the premiere and everything like that. But SmackDown has no stars. Raw has no stars, really. There's a certain select, 4 or 5 stars. But outside of those, there's nothing. There's nothing really meaningful or important to watch week to week on these shows. And it's really sad to realize that, but it's just the facts. Thankfully, in WrestleMania season, usually everything is heightened. When you have Cena on his last run, Roman, Rock, everyone there, some semi-consistently, it's going to ramp up and things are going to feel very grandiose. But once they leave the equation, and Raw's still stuck on Netflix after Mania, and Roman and Rock and Cena take their absences, CM Punk takes a month or 2 break, Seth Rollins takes a month or 2 break, Cody Rhodes maybe loses the title and goes off for a month or so. Once that happens, what are you going to do next? Who is going to be there to fill up that void? Braun Breaker, phenomenal talent, phenomenal guy, but is he really ready to be that number 1 generational talent to carry the next decade like Cena did, like Stone Cold did, like The Rock did, you know what I'm saying, like Roman Reigns did? They don't have a next guy. They don't have a next generational talent, a next superstar, transcendent megastar of this era. They don't have that. Braun Breaker and guys like Carmelo Hayes and him are people in the making. Even Javon Evans on NXT. Javon Evans, first of all, is phenomenal. Okay, I saw NXT Deadline, the match he had. He is absolutely incredible. However, right? None of these guys are really ready to be that generational megastar yet. They're not ready to be in that level with like I said, your Stone Colds, Rocks, your Takers, your Cenas, your Michaels, your Romans of this era, things of that nature. They're not ready for that yet. And the fact that you're going to be sitting on a Raw and a SmackDown that are both 3 hours and you don't have a next generational talent to pick up the slack when these superstars are not showing up, you're in trouble. It is the ultimate fact that has to be realized by all of us that WWE simply does not have a next generational talent or megastar in the women's or men's division. They don't have it. Now, I think that there are certain younger women's talents that are absolutely phenomenal. Sol Ruka is incredible. I also saw her match at Deadline yesterday. It was absolutely phenomenal. She is probably the most athletic wrestler inside of the company, just in general, like main roster and NXT, and it's not really close. She's incredible. And Javon Evans is just, at this point, it's just mind-boggling the stuff he's able to do. But the problem is with all of this stuff is that all these people are only great in the ring. At least so far, they've only been proven to be great in the ring. You need character. You need appeal. You need mainstream appeal, obviously, right? You need to have intrigue to your character. You need to have a good gimmick, a good story, a good character that people want to root for or boo against. You have to have all of those things. And although these people are really good in the ring, they haven't proved to have that second layer to it. You know what I'm saying? So either way you look at it, there's no generational star coming up. So like I said, when the leaves of absence start coming in, you know what I'm saying? That through that 2 or 3 month span after WrestleMania, that's kind of dead, and then things pick back up for SummerSlam for a little bit, and then go dead again for the rest of the year usually. Who's going to pick up that slack? And the answer, sadly, is probably nobody. And so that basically leaves you with a SmackDown that's absolutely dead. It leaves you with a Raw that is probably going to be absolutely dead after WrestleMania. And unfortunately, that means that going forward, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, who are both, by the way, this is something nobody's talking about. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, even Cody Rhodes, Cena, and Rock, These people are likely going to be done within the next. Well, we know Cena and Rock are probably done in a year or so. Same thing with Punk's done in probably 2 years max. And we know Rollins and Roman maybe this is really pushing it. Maybe have 3 to 5 years left of this. Maybe that's really pushing it. So once that 3 years is done, and you know they're going to be Roman Reigns is going to be part-timing it up this next few years. So get ready for that. Once he's done, Rock's done, Cena's done, the Bloodline is done. What are you watching for? What are you watching for? That is the ultimate question that we have to ask ourselves. And when you ask yourself that question, you realize that there is no reason to watch this without a select amount of storylines and a select amount of characters and wrestlers involved in these shows. And sad enough, as you know, as factual as it is, I hate saying it because I love wrestling and, you know, I like WWE overall. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, recently it's been absolutely atrocious this year, but, you know, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Mania 40 was amazing. SummerSlam this year was also very good. But the fact is what the fact is, right? They don't have any generational stars coming up. There's no important storylines that are actually spanning across both shows or spanning across a period of time that actually matter besides the Bloodline. So, I mean, until you want to accept it, you just have to continue to live with the garbage. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. SmackDown is probably going to die soon. What I mean by die is that the viewership is going to go down, and ultimately what's going to happen is that the intrigue and the hype and the excitement for SmackDown is going to die out along with the talent that is actually going to be on SmackDown. It's very, very simple. And once this happens too, because I know this is probably going to happen. I hope it doesn't, but I know it's probably going to. What's going to happen is most likely, people are not going to be tuning into any of the SmackDown segments because those also don't matter. WWE gets viewership from the segments on YouTube and Instagram Reels and all that other stuff, but no one's going to be tuning into this stuff, let's be honest, right? If the ending segment of a SmackDown that you waited 3 hours to get to the main event, and the main event segment is like Gunther talking to like Carmelo Hayes, or Gunther's talking to Kevin Owens backstage, or brawling with him in the ring, is that really worth your 3 hours of your time for that main event? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. It's not. So yes, SmackDown is likely going to die. Raw is going to ultimately become the A show, and that's just how it's going to be going forward. So let me know what you think about in the comics, or let me know what you think in the comment section of this video on the future of Raw and the future of SmackDown, of course. And as always, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. Deuces, ooses.